Good afternoon, Googlers, and welcome to Summer Saturdays Back to Basics. My name is Georgina Dean from GEG Man, and I am joined by the lovely Wendy Peskett. Hi, Wendy.
Hello.
And Wendy's joining us from the GEG UK today, so we're super excited to be collaborating across time zones with our very special guest. I'll let Wendy introduce herself, and she is going to be sharing all about Google Forms today. So you're in for a very special treat. So Wendy, thank you for taking time out of your holiday and your weekend in a busy, very time for yourself, as you just shared before the show, to join us on GEGMN. We're very excited to have you today.
Thanks, Georgina, and thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today. So as Georgina said, I'm Wendy Peskett, I'm from Get UK, and I'm going to take you through a little bit of Google Forms today and a little bit of Google Slides, Sheets today as well. So we're going to look at two different things today for the basic user, okay? So what we're going to do is share this slide deck at the end, and it will give you some links that you can take away to get some beginners tips and some ideas of how you can use forms and sheets. So I'm going to jump straight into that because we've got a lot to cover. We've just got that 30 minutes to go through. So coming in, what we're going to do is what I thought would be the most easy thing to do for a beginner is to look at how we can take something we've already created, possibly in Word, possibly in Google Docs, that we've got a quiz that we want to give to our students. And that's typically what a teacher would like to do in Google Forms. So we want to create a little marking quiz here. We might not get to the stage where we self-mark it today, but we'll get to a place where we've actually put the questions in at least. And then if we get a chance to self-mark it, we'll do that. So this is my form that is going to become a nice Google form that we can use. So I'm going to go straight back to taking myself to Google and going into my Google account. So I should be signed in already. There you go, I'm here already. I'm just going to go into my apps launcher for the beginner and take it into Drive. Now I'd like to go to Drive rather than go straight to Forms. And the reason I like to do that is because I can then decide where I put that particular form. I can make sure it goes in the right place straight away. So I like to go to click on New, and then I go straight to More, and then Forms. But you can, if you want to, go straight to your apps launcher and go to Forms here. But I prefer this way. It'll be personal choice for you guys. And when I click on Forms, it'll tell me I'm going to create it in that particular folder. So that's my choice to do that first of all. And then you get a nice blank template that comes up. And the first thing to remember to do is to give it a title. So in this case, I'm going to do something about the states that matter. So a science, sort of a young learner's science activity we're going to do. So I'll put the title in, States of Matter, and what you should note as well is there's two places where it says untitled, and you want to make sure if it doesn't automatically change that you click on it and it should change, because this is what the person is going to look for in their Drive. That's the name of the document in the Drive, and this really is the name of the document as the user sees it. So they are two different reasons for having it. Okay, and then what you get here is your first question ready to go, and everything in this box that you can see is just about that one question. So it's always important to know that that's what that's about. And if I go back to my Google Doc now, I'll just bring it next to my other one, you'll see that I can actually copy and paste stuff straight from my document into my form. So I'm going to make it as easy as possible. I'm just going to copy something and put it in as my first question. And the first thing I really want to put in is name. I always want to make sure that I know who's filling my document in, because I might not be using this in Google Classroom, which will tell me that. So if I want to use it separately, I need to know who the person is. And what should happen when I put that in is that the AI should kick in and it should change the question type. It should recognize that if I've chosen name, that it's not going to be multiple choice. It should actually change that. But again, as the user, you should be checking that. Make sure you've seen that it is actually the right type of question. And then to add another question, you can see there's a plus sign on this right-hand side. Now, I say it's on the right-hand side, but that really depends on the user's screen settings. So that's an important one to recognize. You may be saying, oh, mine's down the bottom here. And the reason that might happen is because if I click on these three dots at the top here, and I take my screen size up, to more than 110, what you'll notice is that then moves to the bottom. So it's important to sort of recognize, if you're doing this, where your screen size is, because that will determine where your toolbar is. So you can get a bit lost following somebody otherwise. So I'm going to click on add another question, and I've got question 2. Look again, it's a new box just for that one question. Okay, so going back to my States of Matter worksheet, I'm going to say, well, I want them to watch a video, and I normally take the students off to a video here. So I can still do that. Let's have a look at how easy that is to do. So I'm now going to say, let's have a look. I'm going to now add a video. So instead of adding a question, I'm going to add a video in here. And I'm going to do States of Matter again. So everything's going to be about that same subject. Okay, so everything's going to be about the same subject. I'm just going to search for it, and you should see that I get a few different options here. Now, what you've got to do as the teacher is make sure you've evaluated these first, and I know that one's good, and I pop that in here. And I'll just put a title now to say, watch the video, which is exactly what I would normally do in my paper worksheet. But I also forgot, look, I put this question here and now it's in the wrong place because I want it afterwards, right after this video. So I can quickly click on those 6 dots and drag them down. So as a basic user, you can work out these few things that you can do with your questions. It's very easy now to make sure you've got stuff in the right order. It didn't matter that I did it wrong there, okay, because I can pop it in here. So what did I want them to do? I wanted them then to have a question that once they've watched the video, it says, tell me what you learned. Yeah, so that's what I want. Three points. Okay, so I'm going to get them to do that. And notice again, look, it changed a paragraph. It's looking to see that I've actually asked you to say 3 things. Again, you check that, make sure that it actually puts that in. And I didn't tell you on the other question, but look at this button here, this required one. That's lovely. If I click on required, that means the students have to fill that in before they submit the form. So I could do that on the name as well and all my questions, making sure the student can't miss anything. Great, so I've got 2 questions in already. Brilliant. I'm going to add another one. Let's add questions again. Let's go back to my form here, see what I've got. And this time I've got a question 3, which is actually a multiple choice question. So I'm just going to quickly grab that question and pop it in, nice and easy again. And this time, notice a little tip and trick. This is a little time saver. I'm not going to copy each of the answers in separately. I'm going to pick all the answers up together. And you're thinking, oh, what's it going to do with that then? So once I go back to my actual form, if I click on option 1 now and pop all of those in, you notice that it separates them for me. It does actually put them all into separate spaces as answers. So that's a great time saver. And all I need to know is which of those is the right one now. But we'll get to that in a second. If I get a chance, I'll show you how to do that. So that's my question in. And then I want to make sure it's multiple choice. And multiple choice means there's one right answer in that question set, okay? That's really important. And notice it changed again for me here. Let's get the last question in. And this time, this one is actually not a multiple choice. Although it looks like a multiple choice question, what you're seeing at the moment is there are actually 2 correct answers for that one. So let's see what it does with this one. Popping in again the question. Going back to my form and grabbing all the right answers and all the actual answers. And I can now paste those in as option 1. Remember, that's the time saver here. And this time there are 2 right answers, but it hasn't changed because it doesn't know that. I haven't told it yet. But this time I want to make sure I choose check boxes, because check boxes, notice that it's changed to a square now rather than a circle. My unit now can actually answer more than one. So they can say it's got 2, 3, 4, 5 different things that are correct about that particular question. So really what I've got there is a finished question. Maybe I can make all my questions required. I can go back and do that. I won't waste too much time doing that because I've shown you once. Just want to show you a few tips. But what we want to do is now see that finished quiz first of all. So looking at the preview at the top, you can now see we've got our space for name. We've got somewhere to watch our video. We can put our long answer about our 3 points. We've got a multiple choice, which means I can choose one right answer. We've got our check boxes, which means I can choose more than one answer. And a submit button that I can just push that back to my teacher. But what I haven't done just yet is actually tell anyone what the right answers are. So notice this opened in a new window. I can close that back down and I can come back to my editable version. And if I want to just make that something really special, if I want to make that something really special, I can make that into something that my students can actually get their self-marking back. So I've got about 2 minutes that I can show you that one. Nice and easy, going up to the settings at the top here. Dead easy, this one. Look, we're in the General tab when we start, making sure I click on quizzes and I make this a quiz. And once I've done that and I come back to my General tab and I go back, it will now let me save it, and that will mean I can now tell the computer which ones are the right answers. But while I'm in this General tab, there's one more thing I really want to show you. This restrict button can be a real problem if you're working in an organisation that has a separate domain for its students and its teachers. So for instance, if I want to send this out to people that are outside my domain, so it might be that I'm working as a primary teacher and I want to send it out to primary parents, I must take that tick off. Otherwise, it's restricted to only let people in my domain use it. And that might stop people being able to get to your great stuff that you make. So that's a little trick there. And making sure I save at the top. Okay, so now I'm back in here. This is my quiz that I was making. What I just wanted to show you is there's a couple of things popped up now, and one of them is this answer key. Okay, so what I want to do is look at the answer key for this particular question. I'm just going to do it on this one question just to show you how this works. But basically, when I click on answer key now, because this is a quiz that can self-mark, I can do a couple of things. I can assign a point to my students, which is great. They like getting points. And I can also tell the computer which is the correct answer. And I'm not a science teacher, but I do think it's that one, okay? And now the computer knows that that is the correct answer to tell my students, yay, you got a point. Okay, and I click on done if I want to. But as a teacher, what I really like you to look at is using this add answer feedback, because this is where I see teachers fall down quite a lot in quiz making. You get a chance to put some feedback for correct or incorrect answers. And I quite often see, oh, try again, or well done. And neither of those are feedback. They're just general statements. So really what you want to be putting for your incorrect answers is something like, hey, go and look at this website, or watch this video again, or remember page 6 of your workbook, or and check the answer. That's what goes in incorrect. And incorrect, what you want to be saying to your students is, well done, great answer. But what if we change this? What happens then? So you're stretching that user, so you're pushing them on a bit more. They don't get an extra point for that, but what they do get is you knowing that you've taken some time to make them think a bit harder. Okay, so once you've put your feedback in, you click on save, and then your students will get that fed back to them. That was a whistle-stop tour of stuff in Google Forms. But if you only got to the stage where you didn't mark that, you've made a quiz and you've managed to push it out to your students simply by clicking on the send. And then you can then grab the link here and you can do anything you want to do with that. You can add it to your Google Classroom, you can put it on your website, or you can just email it out if you've got a group distribution list. So all you need to do is put your list in here. That gets your form out to people. That's a finished piece. Hopefully that's given you a start just to use Google Forms. I know it was very speedy. Normally I'd spend an hour and get you doing all this, but we've got half an hour to get through 2 things. I've got about 10 minutes now to show you something in Sheets. Okay, so looking at Sheets, not resting, we're getting straight into it. This is what I thought I'd show you, something where you can make a really simple table, something that teachers are often trying to do. They've put in test scores in for students and they want to know what the total score is and they want to know the average score. And being able to do that is really quite simple in Sheets. So just really the basics. Here's the blanket sheet that I wanted here. If I was back in my Google Drive, don't forget, if I want to make a new sheet, I either go to the launch here and I can just choose Sheets, or I can go to New and I can choose Google Sheets from here. So don't forget, when you want to start anything, either find it from Drive New or the Apps Launcher at the top here. That's where you go for everything. But I've already opened a document here, and that's my basic document. So really what I want to do is look at clicking in a cell, and once you click in a cell, you can just type. It's just like that, and tab across or click across, whichever you're happiest with, and then we can just put some information in. Test score 1, test score 2. Okay, and then if I want to highlight something, I can just click on the edge of the cell and it will highlight a whole row. So that's a nice little tip. Or I can just click and drag the 2 that I want, depending on what I want highlighted. And notice up here, these features at the top are very similar to what you would have seen in Word. They're very similar to what you would have seen in any of the Google products. So if you're just coming in new to Google, then just look for stuff that you know what it looks like. It's a paint bucket. It means it's going to feel colour. Okay, so let's have a look. I can choose a colour and pop that in, nice and simple. And then I'm just going to keep going down, using my tab, adding some information into that. Okay, it's dead simple to put stuff in, but really this is where the magic comes in, when you've already put some information into your sheet. Now the first thing I want to show you is, look what happens when I scroll. If I scroll, when I get to the bottom ones, I can't actually see what's at the top here anymore. I can't see that that said name and test score 1. And that's a bit of a problem when you're working with big sheets. So really you want to stop this one from moving, this line. And you do that just by clicking on this thick line at the top here. You can see where it just moves around there and it turns into a hand. If I click on that and drag that down to below the bottom line here of my top of my form, what I can do when I scroll now on that sheet, that stays in place. And that's a great little tip so that you're not trying to remember what was at the top of your table when you started, okay? So that you can just scroll through now and it will quite happily let you see all the different bits. And that was really just dragging this little line down. And you can do the same if you want to with this line and drag it along so that if you have a lot of information about each student, you can scroll right to left or left to right, whichever way it is. And that will be the same. Look, you can see that the name still stays there. So I love that little thing. It's only a very simple thing, but something that people don't notice straight away. And then let's have a look at some basic formula. They always seem to be complicated, but they're really, really not. So let's have a look at Greta's one here. I've done an example at the top here. So really what we wanted to do is to total up the test scores they got from all 4 of their quizzes. So to do that, the first thing I do is make sure I put my cursor where I want the answer. Okay, when I've got the answer, I then click on my formatting, so my formulas one, which is up here. It's a bit hidden. It's gone under this little more dots here. Whenever you see 3 dots in Google, click on it. There's some magic hidden under there. They hide it. And I'm going to click on my functions area here. So let's click on functions. And I said that I want a total. So the other word for total is sum. So let's click on sum. And it's now saying, well, oh, that looks a bit complicated. I'm not really sure what all that means. But don't worry about that. You don't have to. All you need to know is to click where you want the data to come from. Click and drag across. So I've now told it I want it to do the sum of B4 to E4. I didn't know to write that. I couldn't have done, but if I didn't know to write that, I just had to point to it and click. The next thing is, what I see a lot of people making a mistake of is that they then try to click somewhere else on their spreadsheet. What you've got to do to fix that is press the Enter key, and that will then fix your answer. Okay, so let's do that one more time. I'm going to click in that cell. I'm going to click on the functions at the top here, choose sum. I'm going to choose which bits I want it to add up and then press enter. Woo, I didn't even do that right. What did I do wrong? There you go. It shows you can get it wrong however many times you've done it. Click on sum. Let's highlight those 4 things again and press enter. There you go. That's better. Now, once you've done that, you can think, well, this is a bit boring. I've got to do that 16 times because that's all the way down the bottom there. But no, you don't. Look, here's one that I've done correctly. I know it's correctly because I can add those simple numbers up. But can you see this little tiny square in the bottom right here? If I grab that square and drag it down, it will actually copy the formatting for everything I've done. So instead of me having to do that function for all of those, it's now copied that function into all the cells. And if you did the maths, you'd see that it is right, okay? We know it's right. So we've now got our total test scores. But what we want now as a teacher's dream is the average. Okay, we know we could work out the average, but it takes a long time. So let's see how we can do that simply. We click again where we want the answer. That's the most important thing. Then we're going to click on the functions again and choose average. So nothing spectacularly different. You just need to choose the right word, sum or average. And this time, be careful, because you don't want to get the average of the total score or add these ones. You either want the average of this or these. So I'm going to choose the 4. You don't want to get that last one in, because otherwise it will skew all your average. And you press enter again, and then you're ending up with your average. And exactly the same as what we did earlier. Click, grab the little square that's there and drag it down, and you've now got your averages and your test scores for your whole group, nice and simply. But let's see one last thing we might want to do with that sheet, because what I often see teachers saying to me is, but I want to put it, get some charts. I don't like numbers, I like pretty pictures. So let's have a look at what we can do with that. I don't like numbers either, I like the pretty pictures. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just hide these 4 scores at the moment. So I'm going to highlight them, right click, and I'm going to hide columns B to E, just because they're still there. I'm not deleting them. Notice, look, you can see that there's something there now. I can bring them back again. I just want to hide them because really I just want to make a chart with this information. And it's easier to get the bits out the way that I don't need. And I'm not going to grab all my names. I'm just going to grab a bit of it. So I'm going to highlight 2 down to about there. I'm just going to grab that part of my chart. In fact, I'm going to do it the other way and just grab those cells there. Oops, not letting me pick that up, that's weird. Let's see what it's doing. Why are you not letting me do it? Decided to show me that I'm not the boss yet. There we go. I'm grabbing that again. Here's my total score. What I want to do now is make a chart of that information. So there's a few ways I can do it. I can do insert, and I can do charts from here, or I can find it at the top up here, which is chart here. And I'm going to click on it, and it will then use that data that I've decided to use, and it will pop a chart, and it will show me the first part, which was the total score, and then it will show me that. But I don't have to choose that. That's not particularly a great chart there. I can choose a different chart. So I can scroll down and can have a look at the different types of chart. That's a better one, which show 2 separately. So you can choose your chart type. You can do whatever you like with it. And what's even nicer is that you can resize it and pop it somewhere different into your spreadsheet. Or you can say, well, actually, I don't really want it on that page at all. I can click on the 3 dots at the top, and I can download my chart. I can copy my chart and take it into something else, put it into my Google Doc, or I can move it into its own sheet, which is quite a popular one. And notice what it does then is, here's my sheet down the bottom where it started. Now I've got my sheet, my chart on a completely different sheet. And I can simply just copy that, and I should be able to then go into any Google Doc and just paste that information into it. And what's really lovely is this page chart. I'm just coming to the end now, keep an eye on the time, is I can either paste it unlinked, and unlinked means if I change the spreadsheet, then the image in my document stays as it was. Or if I choose to link it to the spreadsheet, if I paste it in, notice here what happens. I've got the chart as it is. If I go back and change the original source, and I change some data in this, so I make this average score something like 100. Let's see if I can make that. Let's see if I can. Oh, I'd have to change it from here. You'll have to take my word on that one, because I'll have to change it something like 104 maybe, 41, 410. Let's make it really obvious. So I've changed the data here. What should happen when I go back into my sheet now, it should tell me there's an update waiting. And when I click on that update, you should notice, because I've changed it so significantly, so you can see it, it's really changed the data in my chart. So that's, obviously that doesn't make sense, that score I gave it, but it's just to show you what happened. So you can always make sure the data that you've anywhere, whether it's on a slide deck or in a Google Doc, you can make sure that you've got that correct and it's up to date. It'll always be up to date. That's what I wanted to show you today. Some tips and tricks. I'll come back to this document here that we started with. We'll share this out because it's got some links to it, some different bits in here. And hopefully that's given you an idea of what you can do just in a few minutes with both forms and sheets. And hopefully it's shown you why I'm so passionate about Google. Back to Georgina.
Wendy, wow, we are so grateful for all of the tips and tricks you shared with us today. Oh my goodness. I'm always obviously super excited to see you and have you, but what you shared with us today was really helpful, and I really just love that easy flow. There was comments in the chat as well with the same comment saying Wendy makes it seem so easy, right? Yeah, so thank you so much. It is just a short session, and that is totally okay. So if there are any people with a little bit more advanced skills watching asynchronously after the fact to the recording, don't worry. Today was just the basics, which Wendy took us through brilliantly in 30 minutes. So we're really grateful for that. Wendy, I know you're in the middle of some really awesome things, and I wanted to give you a chance to shout out the awesome projects that you're currently working on in case people would like to connect with you and your projects. So take it away.
Oh, thank you very much. So what I'll do is I'll add my Twitter handle to this, or maybe you can pop it in the chat at Wendy Pesquet. If anybody would like to follow me, or if they would like to follow my new Google Innovator project, which is at Feel Better EDU. Basically, it's a project all about what you can do to make yourself and your organisation more aware of the wellness of the staff in it. And I'm about to launch a new website on Monday, and that will give people, it'll be a filterable set of cards that people can look at to say, I'm not very good at taking breaks, I need help with taking breaks, and you choose that one, and it'll give you some ideas of how you can use technology to help you remind yourself to take a break. Or it might ask you if you want to be more creative, what you can do to be more creative with technology. And then there'll be a lot of things of a choice in there that you can say, I want something to take back to my organisation. And there'll be loads of ideas of how you can change the culture of your organisation using technology, in the most part, to look at the wellness of the staff and just to keep staff happy and smiling and having fun while they work. So I love some follows. I'd love people to be interested in that project, and I'm sure it'll get tweeted out by Georgina and Gegamen when I get a chance to launch it on Monday. But thank you very much for having me, and if I can ever come back, I'd love to do that.
Oh, we would be so thrilled to have you back again, Wendy. I have dropped all of those links in the YouTube chat. So if you are watching along, please go ahead, click on those, give Wendy a follow. Wendy has shared the last link that I just put in the YouTube chat, a sneak peek of the website that she was talking about, and it's super impressive. Very, very sleek and very easy to use, but most importantly, the content that she's offering is just going to be such a key with reentry going back to school, guys. So definitely focus on social emotional learning, well-being and wellness, and who better to help us with that than Wendy, who's been doing such brilliant work on that all year. So Wendy, thank you so much for sharing, and we definitely will be retweeting all of that when it comes out in the upcoming weeks, because it will help so many educators and students. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much. Take care, keep safe, everyone. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy, and thank you to everybody who's joined us in the chat today. I know that it is the summer holidays, or some of you are preparing to go back to school, back to work, and so thank you for taking the time to come and learn and share in our googly journey with us, and we look forward to seeing you. There is office hours tomorrow, so if you would like to practice all of this awesome stuff that Wendy shared out, then please join us at 6:30 p.m. GMT +3 tomorrow, which is 4:30 p.m. in Wendy's BST time in the UK, and we would be very happy to see you and help you with any questions, or if you would just like to come and celebrate the awesome Google Forms or sheets that you have created, we'd love to see you there as well. And then we have the Arabic session coming up in 20 minutes, and we have also Summer Saturdays next Saturday as well. So thanks for joining, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.